Dev's podcast. Today we are with our awesome guest, Adrian Marin from Romania. Adrian, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, thanks for having me, Seb. Yeah, sure. So, my name is Adrian. I'm from Bucharest, Romania. I'm a developer I've been a developer for about 11 years now, and I've been doing Rails. And for like last 2 years, I've been building this product called Avo for Rails, which we'll probably talk about in just a second. And Ruby and the Rails love the and yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, yes, Avo is one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, and it's super nice that this is a completely different kind of content creation because we are in the podcast oriented about creating content usually by developers for developers, and your approach is something like extremely original, and this is something that I definitely want to talk about a little bit. But in the meantime, before we start, would you like to share some updates? How was your last week?
Yeah,
What are you
sure.
working right now?
Yeah, sure. So last week I had a little bit of downtime because my 8 month old son was a little bit sick. He has like a little bit of cold, and I don't know what it's called in English, but it's like a skin. He has like tiny, like dots, red dots all over his skin. So he was very fussy, and I just spent some time with my wife to help her around the house and spend some time with him. But otherwise, we are working quite hard on Avo 3. So right now we have like a stable Avo 2 release, and now we're working on Avo 3. We have like a closed beta for with some of our customers. And otherwise, I've been doing some work for Friendly RB as well. That takes a little bit, a big chunk of my time as well. And for the listeners, the Friendly RB is a conference I'm putting together in September, at the end of September, so 27th, 28th, in Bucharest. And yeah, that's what I've been doing like last week. A little bit of work and a little bit of home stuff.
Yeah, awesome. About Friendly RB, I considered coming over. Unfortunately, this is like my daughter's birthday, and
Wow!
uh,
Happy birthday! Yeah, don't
unfortunate timing.
definitely not the best time. No, definitely go be with the family. Yeah, yeah, it's crazy with the conference schedule this September. Actually, this year, but this September is way crazy. Like I think we have probably 7 or 8 conferences in 4 weeks, in like on 3 continents. So that's amazing for our community.
Yeah, Wrocław RB in Poland also is in September, and so yeah, definitely a lot is happening at the same time. And Euroco also in like
Yes.
a week
Yeah.
before or something like that, like
Yeah.
totally Armageddon.
Yeah, so like I think the order is like Wrocław, and then the next week it's Uruko, and then next week it's Friendly RB, and then the next week there's a conference in the States. I think it's Boulder Rock, or I don't want to mess up the name, but and then there's Rails World in Amsterdam, and then there's Rails Conf Thailand, all on the same dates. So it is quite crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like for a person that would like to attend in like all of them or most of them, it's just unhappening, right?
Definitely, yeah. It's difficult to attend all. Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. From my side, I am still working on updating our Hanami applications in Ascenda in our company, and this is like super crazy stuff. And yeah, just this is last week of June, like the second quarter of the year, which yeah, it's extremely busy to wrap everything up, close projects, and so on. But I'm very excited, and it took us a while to get back to the schedule. But I have some guests for the next episode, so with the content for devs, we also are coming back, and I hope that will be pretty promising. Awesome. But
Yeah,
you are here.
definitely.
You
Go
are
for it.
here, and you mentioned already two initiatives that you are engaged with, and one is the friendly RB stuff. And is it like the first conference you are organizing, or do you have some experience? Is it new or?
Yes, it's the first time I'm organizing a conference this big. Actually, just a conference. I organized other events because I had a bar when I was in college, a student bar. So I did organize a few events, but nothing this big and nothing for like developers or professionals actually. And this is like my first conference. It's the first international Ruby conference from in Romania, and it's the first edition, so it's a lot of firsts for me. And yeah, we're still learning because it's not just myself. We're just four friends that we got together over Ruby. We just have this common passion, and we're speaking, I think, every week since like last year. And we've been discussing like Ruby, Rails, product development, indie, SaaS, and build something for the community. Let's build another community. Let's try and make a conference. And at one point, I tweeted like, "Hey, if we had a conference in Bucharest, would you come?" And a lot of people said, "Yeah, that would be amazing. I would definitely want to come." That was in February, and then in March, I spoke to a few people that organized other previous conferences, and in March we announced that we're gonna run Friendly RB, and yeah, we're still learning. We're still learning. We have had a very cool panel of a lot of cool people that submitted CFPs, call for papers, and we had some very great, very good speakers that wanted to talk at the conference, and yeah, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be a nice event.
Uh, would you like to share some of the speakers?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the first speakers I reached out to was Javier Noria. So he's the author of Zeitwerk, the popular autoloading library for Ruby. I sent him an email talking about like, hey, this is the kind of event that I want to put on. So a single track, 2 days, cozy event with maybe 100 people, where we can just like connect with the community. And he replied right away. He said, "I love the format. Count me in." We didn't even had a date then. We didn't have anything. We just had an idea, and I think he liked the idea and the premise, and he just said, "Yeah, count on me." So from the more well-known speakers, Javier Noria, Jeremy Smith, you might know them. He put together Blue Ridge Ruby recently. Jason Sweat I think everybody knows Jason Sweat. He has the Code with Jason podcast and the newsletter and the meetups, and yeah, he's a really cool and friendly person. And then we have Ayush Nevatia, which is the co-host of Just a Spec. He's an author. He's a Breachdown core member, and we do have one more speaker, at least one more known speaker, but I think we're gonna release it like later this week, so I don't want to ruin the surprise. And we have a few newcomers. So this was one of the things that we wanted to do with this conference, is give the ability to new people to come to the stage. So people that haven't spoken before and wanted to try out and give a talk. And these people are Elena Tanasoiu. She's a senior engineer at GitHub, originally from Romania. Irina Paraskiv, which is a psychotherapist and an emotional educator. And Nigeria Towit, which comes from Kenya. She's a product manager turned Rails developer, and she's going to speak to us about reacting to Rails. So why Ruby on Rails is the best stop for web developers. So we have a few very well-known speakers and a few newcomers, and we just love this lineup.
Awesome. That sounds really exciting. And with Ayush, I already had the pleasure to interview him here on the show.
Yeah.
and he's super interesting person with lot of lot of success already, and his book is just amazing. So
Yeah, we loved Ayush. Thank you so much for applying and coming to speak. And he has like a very cool topic, like use Turbo Native to make hybrid apps that don't suck. So hybrid apps, this is something that I didn't touch until now using like Ruby on Rails, and I really want to learn from that. So it's just a perfect talk.
awesome. Now, from this friendly RB, which I wish you a lot of success with, and I totally would love to hear the feedback afterwards, like some learnings that you find over organizing this conference. Um, would you like to share with us a little bit about your second big initiative that you are driving, which is the AVO?
Sorry, I think I got cut off or something. Could you repeat the last question?
Sure. Um, would you like to share with us and something about the next big initiative the other big initiative that you are driving, which is the AVO project?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Thanks for asking. Yeah. So Avo is a project that I started as a totally side project, side gig, um, partially because I used a similar product for a different framework, and partially because I wanted to see if I could build it right. Somewhere I think in 2019, I was contracting for this startup that they use Laravel, and they have this product called Laravel Nova, which is like an admin panel framework for Laravel. And we moved so freaking fast. Like I think in 8 9 months we built like this whole full app, just because we had the help of that package, and we just moved incredibly fast. So I said to myself like, hey, you move fast with Rails. I know Rails. If you had something like this inside Rails, that would be just amazing. And I know there are like active admins. They were present there, like active admin, Rails admin, other framework panel, other admin panel frameworks. But they were a little bit, clunky to work with, and they weren't, in my opinion, they don't have like the that end user interface ready. And I said, I have experience in building like products for end users, and I would like to take a stab at that. And then I started working for maybe probably 6 months as a side gig. And in the weekends, maybe I took a few days off from work and I worked on it. And somewhere in August 2020, I released the first beta version. Maybe 3 people tried it, not many people. Then in December 2020, DHH announced Hotwire, and everybody said, yeah, because Ava was built like a Vue.js or I want to use Hotwire and everything. I don't want to took like 2 or 3 months off work, and I just rewrote it as a Hotwire app. So it was a native like Rails and Hotwire application. And then in 2021, in March, I launched version 1. I think we had, and in 2021 we had like this, upscale like graph. Everybody, like a lot of people were trying it. It wasn't like very very good, but then in 2022 I rewrote it and launched it again like in February. And I consider like 2022 and Avo 2 like being like the ground zero for Avo, like when it really started to work. And to tell more to the listeners what Avo does, it's like an admin panel framework for Ruby on Rails. But what I like to think about it, how I like to think about it, is like a custom like content management system. So you can create any type of content management systems on Ruby on Rails. Because like usually when you think about content management system, you think like, you have pages and posts and comments, and you have like a schema defined like with title and body. And but you can create whatever kind of content management system you want. Like if you want to create like ticketing systems, if you want to create like online shops, if you want to create like any type of data you have to manage, you can do it with Avo.
Awesome. So, but I want to relate to the active admin that you mentioned. Like I worked with Rise, and everyone was using admin panel, like active admin, and no one loved it. Like everyone use it, everyone hated it. Like, but it was like the most viable option. And I'm wondering about the Avo or Avo. Is it like a modular thing that you can just pull some features, or do you need to pull like the whole admin panel, like full set of features that you provide? Um, and the second question I have is, what do you mean by the content management? Like, do you can I use Avo for just, as you said, like maintaining simple statuses of my content? Like, I have a post that is draft, and then I can schedule it to the lecturer, then to the video creator, and I can like publish it? Or do you have like more robust workflows that I can just publish it to multiple platforms? Do you have like tons of integrations and things like that? And like, do you have like a support for video creation on, or working like with multiple media sources, podcasts, or so on?
Okay, cool. So to address the first question, if it's modular, well, right now it's mostly a monolith, if you want to think about it like that. So it's a Rails engine. So it plugs into Rails very fast. You just mount it on a route in your app, and you say you can, by default, you can do it like /avo or /admin or something else if you want to do that, or even the root path. And then when you access it through your browser, you are being presented like the Avo layout. So we create everything for you. So we have like the top nav bar, like the sidebar where you see all, give you like the search bar. We ask mobile view, responsive view by default, and everything is inside. So you install it by running a command. Like you can do it. The easiest way to template, and then you give it the URL. We have it on our website if anybody wants to check it out. And then you start creating those resources, right? So let's say you have like a user resource, a user model, which has like a first name, a last name, a birthday, and I don't know, and other fields. You can just say like Rails generate Avo resource, and then you tell it the user, and you can just leave it like that, because it will try to figure out from the database what kind of columns you're using and what kind of associations, and it will generate a new file similar to the model file. It's called a resource file, and it will add all the fields and all the things that it can interpret from that user, right? We by default don't show any business code, just because if we maintain the ownership of the business code, we can ship updates and improve it over time, right? There are other gems that will create like the views for you. They will add a view for each field, and that's good. It will give you a little bit more control for like the visual aspect. You can customize it a little bit more, but whenever they push in an update, you should be able to like merge conflicts or maybe update them all. So all that ownership falls onto you. So we're taking this other approach where all the ownership is on us. So you just write the configuration. You just tell Avo what you have. So we say like, okay, I have a user model which has these fields, like first name, which is a text, last name, it's a text, birthday, which is a date field. And we read that configuration, and on runtime, we generate that whole admin panel for you. So you'll have access to a users link where you can see a table with all of your users. You'll see all the columns that you defined in those fields. You have access to search, to filtering, to sorting, to actions, all of that good stuff with you just writing that first like command of generating these things.
That sounds crazy and
Yeah.
amazing, like as well. The other thing that comes to my mind immediately when I see all of that, like, can I have multiple instances of Avo configured in different roles, like super admin panel for my internal
Okay.
staff, and for my like first level of customers when they can manage their own contents, like, multi instances blog, like multi domain blogs management or whatever?
Yeah, I know what you mean. So this question popped up after, like, pops up to in a lot of people's minds after they use it a little bit, and they can, like, you get into the mental model, and then you figure out, wow, this would be amazing to have this and that. And right now we don't have that. We don't have. So ideally, I think it will be like, hey, mount slash avo, and you say, you give it like the avo engine, and then you give it some parameters, like, okay, this is the admin, and slash super admin, this is the super admin, right? Like your example, we
Yeah,
don't have
or
that.
something like that tenant ID, like pass a tenant ID and just
Yeah, we don't have that yet, but you do have a lot of options to show and hide fields, show and hide resources. Let's say, let's take that user. Let's say you want for the regular users to just see like the users in their country, and then you can have access to that query, and you can say like query dot where country equals Romania, for example. And if you're a super user, you can say like query all and whatever. So you have access. We give you a block, like we give you a lot of escape hatches and a lot of places where you can hook in and update those things. So you can tell it, you can tell a field like, hey, make it visible if the current user is an admin. Like to do, like I said, like if you have association, like for a user, if it has, I don't know, posts, and this is an editor, you want to see all the posts for that user. But if this is a user, you want to see just some posts. So you have access to a lot of things. Because I'm a developer and I know what I would like in an application, in a gem like this, in and just hack it, other to hook it to hell. So you can do pretty much whatever you want with that.
uh,
Yeah.
amazing. So the next question, like this is a young product. You already mentioned that first years, even like at least few months, but even a year maybe, was like a draft, a beta version, and like some playing around with some friends and some test users.
Yeah.
But now on Avo website, you have listed quite known and big partners that actually trusted you and tried out your solution.
Yeah.
So my natural question um, would be how hard it was for you, how you reach out to those people, to those companies, what was the grind behind it? Because what I'm trying to do with this podcast is to um, make the success of other people less magical. Because when I visit the Avo website, I only see that you have like cool partners, you have like third version, you have tons of followers and things like that. But the whole road is always hidden, and this is why I'm trying to like unenchant, right?
That's just, I love it how you put it, like unenchant, and show the whole vision and the grind. Personally, it was a grind for me. Like just because, first of all, I didn't have this known persona inside the Ruby and the Rails developer, in the Ruby or Rails community. So like if somebody like Chris Oliver, or like maybe even yourself, like people that are known, like Jason Sweat, come out and say like, hey, I have this new product, this cool product that I'm trying out. A lot of people are just going to try it. A lot of people are just going to like try to make it work because they know that person, right? And I didn't have that. And yeah, I knew I had to work for it, right? But another thing that I hit when I was trying to present Avo was like, oh, Avo is just like active admin or Rails admin, and that's just I'm just gonna get stuck. Nobody likes it. I used active admin. It sucks. And Avo will suck as well. So this is like, I quote, this is what people were, these were the responses, and a lot of like a lot of my energy, those people, and trying to put out these, documents. So I have the proper documentation, everything, just to let people know like, hey, this is not just an active admin clone. and this is like the next level. So I don't want to bash active admin and rails admin and all those tools, because I like Avo is here because they were there, and though they were, they built the best experience that they could at those stages, and now Avo could learn from that, right? So I could learn from some of those limitations and some of those like design decisions, and just try to make better decisions and make this like a better product all around. So that was one thing. Like these are two things. Like one, nobody knows me. Two, this is not just like active admin. And the third one is just, as a developer, try to like to convince yourself to, like, I have to work within this engine and this layout and everything, like work within a DSL, right? You want to have control over everything. Like, let me generate the model. I want to write models because I know. Let me generate views. I want to write views because I know how to do that. But that's not what we are here for. Like, people, I've met two types of developers. This is what I tell people: like developers that want to build, and developers that want to ship things, right? And they just want to ship things fast because they need to build a lot of stuff. The builders, they just gonna say, nah, I'm just gonna build this in a week. I can do that. I don't need it. They rarely can build it in a week, right? But they just move on and try to build it for themselves, and maybe they come back for a second iteration and try it out. But the ones that want to ship and they see the value, they stick with it. And that, I think this is how we reach this phase. So keep pushing it to developers, right? I don't want to say too pushy. Give very good like documentation and good support. This is another thing. We have like a very good Discord community. People come there and ask questions, and I am on there. Paul is on there, and other members of the community, they answer. On GitHub, the same thing. We have issues and people comment and pull requests, and everything is out in the open. So give good documentation, like a proper product, give good support, and keep at it, keep doing the grind. And it's probably not the best advice that you can give somebody that's just starting out, but you just have to keep on doing the work for products like this.
Yeah, but the biggest, so keeping a grind and having the patience is one of the biggest advices, like everyone is telling that to do. But one of the important skills in business I find is also having the ability to resign, like knowing where there is no future for the project, where to cut off the project and just start something different. So how do you know to keep a grind instead of just saying,
Yeah,
there is no sense, I will just build it for a different community?
no, definitely. So that's a very good question. So first of all, one thing that I did, that I learned from the startup scene and from other startups, is you have to monitor, you have to have analytics, right? And I don't mean just Google Analytics. So for example, because Avo is a paid product, we have a phone home mechanism which calls home and says, hey, this app is trying to use Avo, is this license good, yes or no, or whatever. And we log Ruby version and Avo version, like things like that. But we record those requests, and we have like a bird's eye view. Like, hey, today 10% more people used Avo. Yesterday, 5% less people, and so on. So we can. So first of all, we can have a way to measure that, like the usage, right? You have a way of measuring the gem downloads, but that's like, it's very vague. A lot of bots can download that gem, so you don't have like a real count of like how many users. Even like this, like what we have, we don't have count of users because we don't know how many users use it. People can run like multiple apps in multiple servers, multiple environments. So, but we do have a general feel like, hey, we have like 250 apps running in production in the last 30 days. This is like an accurate number, and that's perfect for us. Like, if tomorrow, like next week, we have 260, that's perfect. So usage grew. If next month is 270, that's perfect, right? So that's one thing. Like, measure something. You have to measure the usage or something that pertains to your product. And the other thing, you have to listen. You have to learn to listen to your community and to your customers. So I think it's a two-way street. Like it's a blessing and a curse with dev products, with developer product like gems, like packages, just like our is. We have it on GitHub, and people, like, if you push out a bad feature, if you push out something that is not useful or breaks a certain use case, people are going to shout like, "Hey man, this last release busted up my, I don't know, configuration, or my app doesn't work, or whatever." So we have this pretty good like feedback line with our customers. The next one is like, if we push like a new association or whatever, and people need a new feature, like, okay, I want to manage the scope or the query when I'm doing this and that, they will come and shout, they will come and say like, "Hey, I want to do this," like. And so it's a good thing that we get all that feedback and we can like triage through it. And for the past year, like in 2022, like we have a release every 2 weeks, and every 2 weeks we release something big. So a big or big-ish, like a good feature, not just maintenance. And we were swamped by all of those like requests, but swamped in a good way, because we just managed to make the product this good, and now people can do other things. Otherwise, like, what can we do? How do we know? Like, your question was somewhere along the lines, how do you know when to build something or not build something, right? It's a matter of like gut feeling and planning. Like right now, we rejected, or we plan not to build some features for Avo 2 because we want to build them for Avo 3. We knew that, so Avo 3 is not a total rewrite, but we just reworked a lot of the internals, and we made them just a little bit better, so it's more of a grown-up version. And we knew that if we focus on Avo 2 too much, we're not going to ship Avo 3. We're never going to ship it, right? And now we're in this phase where we are still shipping some things on Avo 2, but we're also improving Avo 3, and we are planning to push out like the open beta pretty soon. But listen to your customers. So to answer your question, like, listen to your customers and try to have, so analyze, listen to your customers, and try to have a direct line of communication with them, because we talk with them on Discord, on GitHub, and we try to flush everything as public as possible. So people send me mails like, "Hey, how do I do this? How do I do that?" And I just send them to GitHub and say, "Hey man, please open an issue," because other people might encounter the same thing. And if I answer to you on this email, they will not see it. So just post the
Hmm.
issue, and then I will answer there, and then that's public for eternity. So other people can get self-help and so on. So it's tiny things like this that make all the difference.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And how how do you organize all of that? Like, do you have like a whole team, like a lot of people supporting you, or is it like only you not sleeping at night, or like, do you have even daily job anymore? If I understood you, like 2 years ago, you still had a daily job and you just grinded after the hours, right, as a
Yeah.
side hustle. What is your situation now, and how do you handle this with your family and so on?
Yeah, so in 2022, when I said I took, and in 2021, when I said I took 2 months off to rewrite it with Hotwire, that was my last job. So I haven't worked since then. I did a few gigs here and there, but nothing big. So I've been doing it full time for maybe a year and a half now, maybe a little bit more. Um, Justice. Okay. So a year and a half. And I think a year ago, Paul joined. Paul is a very cool fellow he's originally from Romania. He moved to Portugal. Now he moved back to Romania, but that's not important. But the thing is, like, he worked at a company where they used Avo, and we were spending a lot of time together speaking about like brainstorming ideas about how to fix things, about helping him and everything. And at one point he said like, "Hey man, I want to get a second job." He was just finishing college, and I said like, "That's perfect. Come work with me. I mean, you love the product, you understand the product, you know where it's heading, you see the value. So why don't you come and work with me?" So he worked at Avo part-time for about a year now, and the next month he's going to come work full-time. So he's going to be like the first full-time employee of Avo. Yeah, so basically it's both of us for for the past year, myself year and a half. I have contractors that help me with design, with copywriting, with legal issues, but that's it. That's pretty much like a two-man business, two-man operation right now. And how do I do it? So I have this Apple Watch which notifies me every time somebody writes on Discord or on GitHub, and I try to answer as fast as possible. Even if I tell them like, "Hey man, I don't have a solution for you right now. Let me check it and get back to you like in a day or two." That's very important to people. Like they feel heard.
Mm.
Like people hear, like when you're going on GitHub and post an issue and nobody responds for 2 years or never, that's not good. That's not a good scenario. I just go there and say, okay, I see it, or maybe ask for some more questions, or maybe ask for a reproduction application or something, and people feel heard, and they just my impression is they start to trust you, like, hey man, this can fix that. Be there, he's only like, hey, whatever, right? So it's not just me
Oh, I lost you.
okay.
I lost you for just a last sentence or something.
Yeah, so the gist is like, make so here the people, like, answer to the people whenever they have issues, whenever they have questions. So people will start to trust you, that they're not going, if they're going to get stuck, they're not alone in this. There's somebody to help them.
Awesome. This is a big learning for me. And because I cannot hide, I do struggle with it. If I don't have a time, I just don't have a time.
Yeah, no, definitely, I agree. I couldn't, I'm not sure if I could do this if I had another job, like a full-time job. And this is what, like, when people, 'cause people, people ask this for discounts and stuff. So and they say like it's too much, like you're trying to get rich or whatever. But it's not that. It's like we're trying to build this business where we can focus our full time on it, so we can get paid, so we can like go on vacation and provide for our family, and and live like a regular life, in order to be, or to be able to provide this service, right? In order to
Mhm.
make Avo this good, in order to be able to answer all of those questions, right? Because if we don't, and if we can't, it's just like, this is the caveat of open source, right? This is why like tools like active admin and rails admin are a little bit stagnating, because nobody has time to build it, right? Nobody has time to make it as, it's free, but so you could get stuck and that's it, nobody can answer. But oh, it's paid, but somebody answers and gives me like a way out, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, sure. I personally don't see anything with trying to be rich or getting rich. If you do it by providing value to people instead of just rambling around and trying to screw them, right? So I have the same struggle with Hanabi Mastery. So this is like a free content creation, and I'm doing like pro content, premium content sort of thing. And I would never do it if I could just afford to do it. But I want to be more regular with the content creation and publications to give more value to the community. And this takes tons of time, right? So in order to do it, I need to resign or reduce my career as a developer, which is there is nothing to hide. Like this is well-paid job, right? Being a senior developer is just a good,
Yeah.
well-paid job. So if you want to resign from this, you need to do something in exchange. You need to have something in exchange. So it's just a normal thing. And yeah, maybe I need to have more discussions with people who actually have problems with it, because I just cannot get it at the moment.
Sorry, I think my Wi-Fi is spotty. Is it, can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, but it's just breaking over randomly.
Do we have 1 minute so I can switch on my phone?
Uh, yeah, sure.
Yep, because maybe, yeah, it's better. Just a second.
Oh, hey, chat.
Okay. Okay. Are we good?
Yes, yes. I like a true professional. I just forgot to open the chat, and we have some guests like that. People are saying hi to you and to me as well, I
Oh,
guess. So, hello, hello, everyone. Nice to
yeah,
have you
I've
here.
seen Yaro and Lucian. Hey guys, thanks for being here. Um,
Super Rail says, so my favorite part of Avo is the perfect documentation, which I think you will like it. You will like this comment.
yes, yes, definitely. It's very difficult to keep a good like good documentation and have it up to date and everything and speak on everybody's language because you can ask a question in five different ways and yeah, it's difficult, but you have to do it. Like if you have like this kind of dev product, definitely you have to do it. Yeah, I think
I am
sorry. Yeah, go for it.
sorry, just I'm heavily engaged in documentation management in both like Ascenda, also in Hanami nowadays, and uh, yeah, I can just confirm it's so huge amount of work, and no developer really likes it. Like you take it because
Exactly.
nobody else does it, right?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, but it's a key. If you have something like this, a product like this, or like Hanami, it's key to have it and to have examples as well. Now I'm researching to see if maybe there's a ChatGPT something version bot plugin where I can just feed it the whole documentation, and you can ask a question like, hey, how can I hide a field in a resource if I do this and that for the current user and whatever, and it will just think about it and just spit out the answer. So I would love if we had that, and I think we will. Like in the future, we'll have startups that will be doing that. So I cannot wait for that to happen.
Okay, I'm writing a message to our lovely chat. More and more people are here or
Hey,
appearing.
hey, Robert Duck Dev Show. Hey, um, amazing.
Yeah, so you are full-time employer, self-employer now, right?
Yeah,
Which huge congrats to you. Like I'm taking one day off in a week for 2 years already. Like it's not easy thing to do,
yeah,
but
I
this
agree.
this year for sure I will.
That there's something for everybody. I think to learn here is that and I think I learned it when I started building this on the side, and I tried to figure out like how could I do this and make it my job, right? And straight away you go to this, you need to make money, right? You have to charge something for something, and provide value and charge something to be able to do this. And this hit me that okay, so this is why other developers and other people are charging for their products, right? So this is why they do it. And now it kind of educated me to like when I see somebody, having a pro version of something, I just go and maybe buy it if I use it or whatever, or I just try to support their work. And I think it's a side of development that is rarely seen. It's rarely to and it's difficult to internalize it without going through this hustle and grind, right? And to answer like your question, you said like I would like to do like Hanami mastery, but I don't have the time. You just have to take a sheet of paper and figure out, okay, if I want to take like part-time off work, I need to make this much money, and you just start from there and where the value is.
Oh, your connection is dropping again. Hello, are you here? I think we lost him.
Yep. Seems that the internet gods are not with me today. I'm so sorry for.
Happens, but this is the challenge that we are taking.
Yep.
Nobody said it will be easy, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so this is also what I'm referring to. So for me, it would be way easier, like if people would ever like say, you are trying to get rich because of doing this, right? This is part of true, of course, but it would be way easier to just focus on your career and be like damn good as a developer, because I already know that. I already spent like 15 years of my life in learning how to develop stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's just way easier, less effort to just doing my job and don't care. And I would have like more time for my family, more time for less stress for sure, less grind, more sleep, so whatever. And yeah, totally enjoy your experiences on this topic.
No, definitely, definitely. But I think it's a trait of developers that they want to just see if they can do it, right? Like, hey, I want to see if I can, run a podcast successfully. I want to see if I can build this product. I want to see if I can, create this tutorials and educational content, right? And it's a challenge, and you want to, rise above that challenge. And it became like rather. I figured this out rather soon with Avo after I made Avo. Like when Avo is going to be successful, I'm not going to be on a beach somewhere just sipping a pina colada or anything. I will be grinding on the next thing probably because I want to see if I can make that thing happen and so on. So I think more developers or most developers feel that way, and they, dedicate some of their time and their stress and their, mental focus to that. Sometimes it's something public like Hanami Mastery or maybe Avo, and sometimes it's inside the company. But most developers try to, get above their level and do something more.
So what is your really driving focus? So you shifted to this product sort of things. You also are producing Friendly RB conference or organizing this. But so what are the motivation labors hidden behind that? One, like a very pragmatical one, I could think of as like let's assume I'm like a very uh, uh, dick dicky person, like not pleasant person, and I just want to call you out with, okay, you are organizing the conference because you are driving Avo and you want to use it as an advertisement, and this is your your factor, right?
Yeah.
Motivation factor. And yeah, maybe that is a part of it, for sure, but what are the real ones, like the deep motivations that actually allow you to grind through all of that, even if you are not sure if the product will success ever?
Yeah, so I recently heard the term and I read about it, like the opportunity cost. And that's the I don't want to be wrong about it. Like if you're doing something, there's an opportunity for you to gain something, but you are going to lose something else. So for me, the opportunity cost would be the time. So I invest a lot of time in Friendly RB to ensure it's a very good event. And that time, like you said, like I could be spending it on myself or with my son, with my family, or just building Avo or whatever, right? um yeah, and like you said, like somebody could call me up and say like, hey, you're just doing this for Avo and whatever to gain some visibility. Well, definitely I will gain some visibility, but I'm doing this just because I like communities, and I like being a part of the community. So and I love it. And it was a 2 day conference as well. Like every day we did something. I just grabbed a few people and I said, let's go and go to a taverna. Let's go to a craft beer pub, or let's go into the park and have another beer and whatever. So and in the last like after the last day on Saturday, I grabbed a few people and we went on a ferry. We went on a nearby island. We rented cars and motorbikes and we went around the island. We swam. We and I ate fish at the taverna. I just loved organizing that and having all those people. It's gonna be like a memory on them and on myself. Like we're never gonna forget that. Like that time when we went in on an island in Athens, and I did something like I didn't do something similar, but I did something in Wrocław as well. Like I love talking to people and doing activities together, and I made a lot of friends. And I conference the way I wanted to make it. Like imagine how many friends I could make then. And yeah, I just like communities and meeting new people, and that's a very good way of. This is a very good way of doing this.
Awesome. I enjoy that too. Like, I love being a part of conference, but with my family situation, it's just unlikely to happen that I will appear often on conferences. So I also created this podcast in a way that I can have a connection with successful people, with people that I can learn from and meet like new interesting buddies, right? Friends, make connections, but having in mind this restriction that I cannot just go everywhere and just meet people in person. So I'm kind of like overcoming this obstacle here in this podcast, right?
Definitely. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like I'm very grateful like to my wife because she takes care of the baby most of the time. That doesn't sound good. I know. We do it at conferences and so on, and she's able to do that. Yeah.
Robert Duck Dev Show says that opportunity cost is a huge consideration. You could always be doing something other than what you are doing right now. So it's like a grass is always more green on the neighbor's field, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So is this thing worth that trade?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very good. Yeah, it's a very good. Thank you so much for that for this definition. um yeah, I don't know yet. Like there has been, because probably everybody knows, like all of the conferences that are right now in September. There's this Ruby conference group. The guys from, I think, RailsConf Thailand put together this group and invited all the conference organizers just to not have this big I don't know, focus point of like just not to have a lot of conferences in the same time. And Jeremy Smith, who put up like Blue Ridge Ruby, he said like, I'm not sure if this is going to be like a yearly event. I'm not sure if I want to do it next year because it took up so much of my time and I can't do it alone. And I can relate to that. Like I was talking to a friend yesterday. I think since I started organizing Friendly, like at least 1 day per week, it was for that on average, at least. I had weeks where I had like 3 days I only worked out Friendly. And you don't see much from the outside, but you have to like talk to a lot of people and make sure everything is good, like all the vendors and everything. And to do it alone, that's so freaking difficult. And yeah, is it worth it? I know, we'll see. I hope it is. I hope it is.
Yeah, I trying to came up with this mindset that even if the event itself will not be successful, you are successful because you learned from it a ton.
Definitely. Yep.
So yeah, I Hanami Mastery is my fourth blog ever, and like so I have like a 3 total failures. You might see sort of, right, but all of them were learnings from me, and I have Hanami Mastery in the form it is right now because of those previous projects. So I don't like look back to the past and like thinking about it, but I just enjoy that this is my experience.
Definitely, yeah. So if there's one thing that I regret not doing earlier is trying to start a business or a product earlier, because you start it, you make it, it's bad, you fail. Something if you're 30, you don't have that much time to fail like when you're like 20, 25. So if you're out there and you're thinking about starting a product or something or a business, just do it and don't worry about a lot of things. Yeah.
It also it also allows you to overcome the blockers in your mind, like fear of failure. Because if you are doing enough failures, you are just don't care about them anymore, right? You don't fear them anymore because this is just normal thing.
Yep.
But in schools, we are often learned or taught to fear the failure, like the failure is a bad thing. But from the failures, you can actually learn, and the more failures you do in early stages, the better for you.
Yep. I totally agree.
So you mentioned to me in the call, or maybe the chat before the call, that one of the things that you are also enjoy talking about is the traveling stuff. And this is something I want to also touch you or ask you about. So,
Yeah.
do you travel a lot with your family? And what kind of travels those are? What kind of, in terms of um, the length, like normal
So
holidays or just a nomading system? Yeah, what kind of travels do you prefer?
yeah, so we don't travel as much since the baby, but in 2019, I think I started. Me and my wife did two digital nomad experiences. We left first time, I think, for 11 months, and the second time for maybe 8 or 9 months. COVID brought us back home, and yeah, we traveled in Southeast Asia. We did like Thailand, Vietnam, Myanmar. We went to Hong Kong, to Japan, to South Korea. We went to New Zealand and Australia, and then we went to the States and came back the other way. So we did a lot of that, and we just loved it. Like whenever you're traveling, like you kind of live slower, if that makes sense. You feel life a little bit slower, and
Mhm.
then COVID came and it brought us back home. And you know how it was, like the first year nobody was leaving their houses, not traveling anywhere. But then slowly, like we did a lot of like city breaks. For those that are in Europe, they know about it, but maybe I think in the States they don't feel it as much. But city breaks is like when we leave from Bucharest to Rome for 5 days, or Barcelona for 3 days, or whatever, and you spend the weekend there, and or you have like a holiday, national holiday, and just spend a few days abroad. And we did plenty, like a lot of those in 2021 and 2022, yeah, after COVID. And now with the baby, we haven't left yet. I just went to a few conferences, and my wife is very, jealous. But we will. Our first holiday will be in Greece at the end of August, and we just can't wait. We'll go with the baby and the grandparents and everybody, and try to have as much fun as possible. I'm sure it's going to be fun. It's going to be very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I can feel you. Like my wife also needs
A
to
break.
get back to the break from the family,
Yeah.
because it's a huge grind for her as well. That always often is unappreciated. So huge thanks to all of our wives that are staying
Definitely.
with
Thank you.
kids. This is amazing. Um, do
Did
you
you?
think that?
Yeah,
Oh,
go.
sorry.
Did you do any kind of digital nomading or traveling?
Well, this is not something I experienced yet. So this is my goal since forever. We have kind of original way of living where we plan out like our whole like life strategy, and we are heading into digital nomading, but with family. So I prioritized having kids first, where I was like very young, and so I did not travel too much. And then there was a baby grind for years because I have 3 kids. And
Nice.
now, like that the youngest is in the stage or age that we are uh, it is possible for us to start traveling. We are also in the situation, both like jobs, financial situation, time situation, and the kids are already there, so we don't need to stop in a few months for diapers and so on. But we actually can heading towards this digital nomading stuff and traveling a lot with family, with learning different cultures, people, and so on. So this is kind of like things, but I did not experience that yet too much, only like traveling with kids inside of the country.
Definitely try it. I don't know how it is with kids. We'll probably see very soon, but definitely try it because it's different when you leave there, when you try to live in a different country for a longer period of time than just a week.
Okay, but the time check is there. We are slowly but surely getting back to the finishing of this episode. So I have just a few more questions at the end of the talk. You mentioned to me that you are also engaged or were engaged in other dev communities. You mentioned Laravel, that was one of the past experience of you. So my question is that are you engaged in some other communities, like except Ruby community nowadays?
So I'm not very engaged. I'm more of a read only, like a viewer type of guy. But I am subscribed to a lot of communities. Like even my Discord sidebar is full of open source communities, from PHP to Node.js to TypeScript, like anything. Because you have to do a lot of, I like to call it like cross pollination, like, or cross pollination, I think it's called. Like you go and see what our others are doing, right? So I went on this
Yeah.
community on their Discord server. I just joined, and somebody asked me like within 5 minutes, like, "Hey, how are you?" Like on private chat, like, "Are you interested in our product? Can we get you some help or whatever?" And then a light bulb came up, like, "Hey, this would be a cool thing to do, right?" Like, you have this concierge. Yeah, so I'm not sure if I would have had this idea of implementing that into my channel, but if I saw it at somebody else, like in a different community, then yeah, I could steal that idea and add it to my own. So I think it's very healthy to be grounded and to check other communities as well, because I love the Ruby community and it's an awesome community. But it's cool to see what others are doing, and bring it back and to the Ruby one, and make this community better. So yeah, I'm not very active in other communities, but I am watching, like, Vue.js. I'm watching like Node.js, TypeScript, and of course the Laravel community, which is quite awesome. I like how they are expanding their ecosystem, and
Oh, I broke you. You got broke. No, you did not got broke. Your internet got broke.
yeah, sorry. Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree. And this is also like, if you are open to different communities, different people, like there is like a holistic approach to doing things, and there are like multiple things mixed together. So when I read books about parenting, I also see that when I read books about management, this is the same thing. Like the same content is there, but using different names. And also there are other funny stuff happening. For example, Greg Pollack, who was an author of Rise for Zombies course and Code School, yeah, all the Rubyists will know that. He shifted away to Vue community, and he now has a Vue mastery company, which was an inspiration to Hanami mastery name. So it, you know um, things are always overlapping, and there is no like a single creative idea nowadays. It's more like a unique connection of different ideas that are already there.
Yeah.
um, I love this concept, and totally.
Yeah. No, I agree. So, just to give you like a short story. So, when I started doing regular releases for Avo, I was just sending out a newsletter like, "Hey, this is the change log," and like that's it. And somebody replied one time, "Hey, this would be cool to have a video, right, with this change log." And then I said, "Yeah, okay." I started making videos on every release, like, "Hey, this is what I fixed," and I go into the problem and show like code samples, and people like understand a little bit more what was fixed or what was added, or what was removed. And I started doing the same thing, posting like Twitter threads about the release. And then after a while, I started seeing other products, other developer products doing the same, like posting like Twitter threads and what is new like this week or in this release. And it got me wondering, did they get that from me or did they just do that? But it's all good. But it's good that things are getting better, and like you're making your community better, and we're making our community better, and push out better products for everybody to build.
Yeah, but you will never know who got inspired by you. Like
Yeah,
the feedback loop is always smaller than the consumption loop, right? People are consuming, and only small fraction of
yeah.
people will say thanks for the inspiration.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not saying like I was the one that invented this. No, definitely not. But yeah, uh, it's cool to see that.
Awesome. So the summary would be from your advices about running a successful SaaS project. What I learned from the conversation with you would be to start as early as possible and fail as many times as possible. With I wish everyone to not fail at all, but
It's
never
it's
give
not
up.
mandatory, but yeah,
The last sentence we completely lost. So could you repeat? Sorry.
yeah. It's not mandatory to fail, but it's very healthy to fail.
Okay. And the next would be that you will have some grind at the beginning, and then just don't stop. Look for your guts, follow your gut feeling, right? And that's it, right?
And communicate. I like to over communicate things when I can. So
Mhm.
in dev products, that may be like documentation or writing content, or these videos or whatever. But over communicate and let people know that you hear them and you are there for them. So yeah.
So total support, great documentation, those are very important factors of the successful product of any sort, right?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, very important.
Awesome. Thank you very, very, very much for all of this. Do you want to share something else with the community, like maybe say thanks to any person or recommend a book or so?
So yeah, so again, like I want to thank my wife because she pushes me to do these things and enables me to do that. I want to thank my other three co-organizers from Friendly RB, Jakob, Lucian, and Alex. I mean, without them, I'm not sure if I would be like here. Like our love for Ruby and product development and indie development. Um, pushed us to be here. Um, I, myself and Yaro started a podcast like the Friendly Show, so it's a www Friendly Show. So I want to plug that in. I want to thank Yaro, and I don't know, like I want to thank the community because it's awesome. I mean, I love it when I get feedback. I love it when I meet new people, and I hope we get to meet in other conferences live because that's much better than that's about it.
So the last question: where people find you? Of course, on the Friendly RB in the September in person. But other than that,
I'm Adrian the Dev everywhere. So on Twitter, on GitHub. So adrianthedev.com, that's my website. avohq.io. We have our Discord link there. So if anybody wants to find me, they can find me. No
Of
worries.
course, it will be linked in the show notes of this episode, so no worries. Thank you very, very much for being there. It was a blast. So I hope we'd have a chance to say hey and have a high five at some point. So see you. Have a happy afternoon.
Definitely. Thank you for having me, Seb, and our listeners. You too.
Bye.
Bye.